Alright guys, today we're going to have a very short set of notes. It's just finishing up 1.6b, which is valid and invalid arguments, so let's get going on this. So, moonflowers are blooming. If the moonflowers are blooming is P, then it is nighttime, Q. It says here, it is daytime. That's the opposite of nighttime, so that means that this is not Q. Okay, so if we want to finish this, what conclusion can it be reached? We would say, therefore, we would need it to be not P. So we would say moonflowers are not blooming. And it is the law of indirect reasoning. Okay, so they could also ask you to do that, finish it out. Okay, so construct and use a truth table to show that the given form is invalid. Alright, so what we're going to need to do here is we're going to make our P and our Q. Okay, and we know that it's always both on, first one on, second one on, both off. Okay, now the next piece is the first line. P implies Q. Remember here, only false if first is true, second false. So if P is true and Q is false. Okay, so P is true, Q is false, so that one is false. But the rest are true. Okay, so then we move on to the next premise, which is not P. Okay, so not P would be, remember, the opposite of P. Okay, so the opposite of P would be 0, 0, 1, 1. Make that line a little bit longer. Okay, so then remember what we said that this is. It said that this is this implies this, and the second piece. That little symbol means and. So we're looking at these two columns, and means they both have to be on. Okay, so both true. Okay, so we're going to look at these. So that's off, off, on, on. Okay, now we go to the conclusion. All right, so not Q. So go to Q. And we're going to go opposite of Q. Okay, so that's going to be off, on, off, on. My little lines keep getting shorter and shorter. Alright, and then we have our last thing where we put it all together. So we're going to go that this piece implies this. So P implies Q and not P. Okay, so that's all together implies not Q. Now remember, only false when the first is true and the second is false. Okay, so only true when the first is true and the second's false. So the only one that's off is that. Okay. And there you go. That's your truth table. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I told you that was a short one. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.